Another day, another dawn to look at some more shitty Greenlight projects. Firstly, I want to say that I got my first subscriber today, so thank you, I guess. I guess that means that I'm doing something right. I'm just glad someone wants to see more of me rambling on about shitty pieces of shit that shouldn't have been made. So the Greenlight project that we're going to look at today is called Chipsse Solid 3 by Chidonkai. It's made by a Frenchman, so you know that that screams quality right away. So I was first attracted to this piece by the shitty artwork that is. My fucking god. This might actually be worse than Take Your Money. By the way, that video, the Greenlight project got taken down, so I wonder if I insulted him a bit too much. Good job, guys. Pieces of art that aren't really art should not be on Greenlight. When a developer tries to take advantage of a trend in order to take your money with no artistic vision, like, it's a guaranteed scam. But without further ado, let's dissect Chipsse Solid 3. So, looking at it, it looks like it's one of those intentionally terrible pieces of art. However, I could be wrong. A bit of advice: when you're making intentionally terrible art, have some sort of charm, because this piece of art does not have any charm. There's no kind of uniqueness about the piece. It looks like it's trying to rip off some kind of Final Fantasy kind of look, but it's failing horribly. It looks like something an autistic 13-year-old would make. So it classifies itself as an RPG. So let's have a look and see if it knows what an RPG is. So let's have a look at the description. When I look at a description, I think about what the game is, why the game was made, who made the game, and how the game is different. Different to other games in the genre. And they classify themselves as an RPG, and by their artwork, that'll be, why is this game different to Final Fantasy? So the developer's French, so the English is a little bit broken, so I'll try my best to read it as it is. Chipsse Solid 3 is a work sharing a great deal of visions different, in a fantastic world on the edge of the abyss, to threatened by time and the people Chipsse Solid, our favourite ninja, cannot escape, has this malefic whirlwind and will have other choice than to beat it, to become a man, to be so able to keep what have him the most precious. Treason, suffering, pain, fear, promise, choice, confidence, enjoyment, strength, condolence prepare you for a new adventure as you would have never seen it somewhere else. Our RPG will plunge you undoubtedly into great adventure with a big A of more than 200 hours of games. I can't, I'm sorry, this is. Right, okay, professional. The guy's got broken English, I apologise. Chipsse Solid 3 will propose to you a totally new version of the RPG. It will be a real wind of freshness for the connoisseurs on the subject. So from that description, I have no clue on what's going on. From the 4 points that I made, I have no idea what the game is. I have no idea why the game was made. It doesn't tell me who made the game. And it tries to explain how the game is different. But when you say that it's going to be a totally new version of the RPG, you know, that statement is kind of very ambiguous. You can say anything is the new version of the RPG, but like, unless you have evidence of why it's a new version of the RPG, then the claim is false. For example, looking at one of the games that I love, Bravely Default, it's an RPG that uses the Brave and Default system, and they make a great deal of marketing that aspect of the game. Now, with Chipsse Solid 3, you have not pointed out what part of your game makes it different to other RPGs. When you say that you're a totally new version of the RPG, that selling point, that USP, has to be the forefront of your game. Not only of your game, but of your entire marketing campaign. The RPG market is incredibly saturated. You have to have a USP, and you have to push that and market that. If you don't, then your RPG is just going to fade away into obscurity. I see what Chipsse Solid 3 has done with, with their intentionally terrible art style, but they intentionally terrible art style has no charm, and that's the main problem. Intentionally drawing ninjas badly is not going to work. So enough with looking at the description, let's take a look at their promotional video that they're using to sell the game. Maybe they'll convince me differently.
Chipsse, my beautiful disciple. Chipsse.
So it looks like the kid is taking a shite, which is, I think it sums up his Greenlight project.
袖からそれはこの野郎のミッション的でらですか
Alright, so I know that you're trying to make it sound anime-ish, but no one's going to take you seriously if you're a Frenchman saying Ohayo no shore wa desu ka? So the game looks like it's been made in GIMP again by a 14-year-old. There's absolutely zero animation whatsoever. You're actually thinking that people are going to buy your game when, when you have no animation, how can anyone take you seriously? The character models are horrifically drawn, and the backdrop is, oh my fucking god. I'm starting to think less that it's intentionally terrible, and starting to think more that the developer is just not an artist. And again, I have no clue what the game actually is. No clue what it does, why I'd buy it, what the unique selling point is. Maybe if like you set up a charity where 100% of your proceeds go to children with autism, then you'd get people to buy your game. Because to be honest, that's what your video reminds me of. It reminds me of the kid who no one talked to in IT class, who just sat on his computer and made games like this. So it's the point in the video where we look at the comments, have a little look to see if anyone else is feeling the same way that I do. So the comments aren't exactly positive. They're actually quite negative. Tenon_98_2000 says, "This is beyond horrible, and the voice recording was just as bad. Sorry, not interested." Brandino says, "You are aware that Steam is a commercial storefront? If your game can't hold its own weight next to games like Shovel Knight or Undertale, then you'll need to get off Greenlight and head to new grounds." Wantoon hits the nail on the head. This is, where should I start? There are hardly any animations for a game that bleeds action in its theme. The environments are pretty awful, and the character sprites look unappealing. Worst of all, the game balance looks way out of whack, as seen at 125 in the video, where failure is absolutely inevitable due to poor collision detection that favours the foe. That right there will kill your game. My personal favourite, Giles Hayden says, "What is French for? Take this game and shove it up your arses." So the author of the game has responded to some of the negative comments on his page. Chidonkai, the author of the game, says that the game is in the development. We worked very hard to make of this game an unforgettable experience. This kind of comment will not be deleted, even if it is offensive to those who work in our team and also the external participants. If for you the quality of a game is not that graphic, it is because we have not the same values. At Chidonkai Productions, we favour the experience of the game. Which, despite his broken English, is a fair enough answer. I don't think he works very hard to make the game an unforgettable experience, but, you know, I give him credit for not trying to censor the negative comments. And I think that he needs to understand that the comments that are negative are constructive. I think that Chidonkai should take into consideration what the consumer wants. You can't say that you don't have the same values as your customer. That's just suicide in the marketing sense. You can't say to someone who's viewing your work that, well, your opinion doesn't matter. you know, that you don't have the same values. That person could be giving you money for a game. If you say that, okay, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe there are some things that need to be changed, maybe that will be a bit more favourable to the consumer. When you say, well, it's because we don't have the same values, that's why you're feeling that way, it just makes it seem like you don't really care about your customers. That you only really care about the money. And that's, you know, it's bad. It's a bad thing to say. However, I do think the kid cares about his game. It's not like he just wants our money. I think that there's something else that's there. He's prepared to stand up for his creation. I think that he's put in a decent amount of time into it, but he's trying to defend something that, frankly, is not defendable. Let's move on from the comments, shall we? So let's look at the developer Chidonkai ourselves. So he was last online 472 days ago. He's from France, and he owns Metro 2033. That's funny. In the last video, the guy only owned Metro 20332. Very strange. Okay then, maybe it's the same guy. Who knows? So in conclusion, the game is an embarrassment. I feel bad for the dude. I think that he does put a lot of passion into this. I think that he cares about his project. However, his marketing and his art style and his concept and his gameplay, absolutely everything, is no right to be put out on public display. I think that he shouldn't be upset about being ridiculed. I think that he should watch his project from the eyes of a consumer. I believe that he would greatly benefit from taking a bit more time on this project. He should not be asking for funding, not be asking for money. He should be working hard and getting the basics sorted. Unfortunately for him, I might be proven wrong if his execution is right, but I think even with all the time, money, resources, people in the world, I think the concept itself is just too bland to be any form of commercial success. I'm all for following your dreams, but I think that Chipse Solid 3 is a doomed failure, and I think the developer should give up on the project completely and focus on something different. Take it as a learning curve and produce something a little bit better, something with a USP. So that concludes another episode of Greenlight Shite. If you want to support the channel, please drop a like on the video and subscribe if you want. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.